I'm going to ask you the same question, Dennis, and I think you're asked after the game, but I want an honest answer this time. Because I was watching you, I've seen the game on video since, and I was watching your face. After 30 minutes there, no one was going to give Witness a price. You're the coach, what were you actually thinking at that point?
I was thinking I wanted to get him in at half time so we can just change the way we're doing things a little bit. It's really, like, so everybody talks about it galvanising us and doing things to make us strong, but we're already galvanised, we're a pretty strong group. And when you watch the game back and you see those first 15-20 minutes, you see that we're in the contest anyway. It's Steph Marsh error that's pretty poor, and Steph admitted to that. It's like he gets beat by a bigger man because he doesn't commit it hard enough. And then the second try is around Kevin, and I say he passed the test on the field, but I think now we should have brought him off straight away. We should have brought him off the field straight away and done the head test. But again, there's no complaints from anything like that, but because he passed all the tests, all the questions he got asked when he was on the floor, he answered clearly. It's just that delayed feeling of the whack that he took, which was a fantastic shot by the young kid Sutton. That's where they scored the next try. And I felt that we were actually, apart from those two things, Alex Gerrard almost gets over, Kev almost gets over in the corner, Steph makes a long break. It's a pretty even contest, both physically and skill-wise at that stage. So the scoreline wasn't really a reflection of how well we'd actually played in that first 20 minutes. And then this next try was obviously when Pat was off the field and we just got caught out on his edge. So wanting to get in at half-time and just change the way I can speak to the players, and because you can send messages on, but it's one bloke at certain times, and the game's in full flow. It's really hard to actually change how we wanted to change while the game's still being played. So yeah, what I was thinking up there was, right, let's survive till half time. Let's do what we can. Changed a couple of things through Aaron Heremiah and through Joe, but we wanted to get in half time. I think the try that Joe scored just before the half was a significant part of the game. I think it just gave us back that little bit of belief that we were in that game.
Van seems to have garnered a fair amount of sympathy from fellow players through social media and one or two coaches as well. Do you still feel that the sending off was fair?
I think it's tough. It's tough for the linesman and the referee, and especially when you're on TV, because and whether he makes a split decision or not, I don't think he does. I think he listens to his linesman, he sees the screen played, and he sees the slow motion replay over and over again. It's pretty hard to not just see him getting hit across the chin. When you actually watch it at full pace and you see it from behind and you see the angles of it, it's not that bad. It's clumsy, if anything, but even when it's clumsy, it's Josh Charnley steps into him. There's lots of aspects of it. Josh turns his head towards him, which makes the contact even worse. So as he's moving into him, he's actually turning his head into him, and Pat's not aiming anywhere near his head or face. It's just one of those things that happens in the game, and refereeing's a tough job. He's got to make a decision there and then. There's a bloke that's been hit in the head and he's unconscious on the floor. It's I say part of me is thinking that it's a tough call because there's nothing malicious in it. It's goal line defence and it's an accident. And if he gives him 10 minutes, then we can't argue about that. But then, having watched it back, and Josh doesn't come back on the field. It's not like Josh comes back and it's only a glance. Even if it's accidental, he still doesn't miss his head. It's a real tough one. It's a tough one for the referee. I thought it was probably a yellow card because it was around that range. It was clumsy more than it was malicious. And I say if they're setting that precedent so far, then if those are red cards throughout the year, then we might see a few more red cards this year.
You had to do, as you said, a bit of a shuffle round, and I thought one or two of the players have gone a bit under the radar in my performance. Did brilliant for you. Cameron Phelps put out some fires, didn't he, for you?
But Cameron Phelps was outstanding. Internally, we know that, and like I say, he had some outstanding efforts when he was so isolated to be able to read the game as well as he did and make those decisions to stop their play. Well, these are things we spoke about anyway. That was what Cameron's job initially would have been, on that edge with Kevin and with Pat. Like I say, but Cameron was left isolated on his own to make those decisions, and he made some fantastic calls. And Eamon was great. I thought Alex Gerrard was fantastic in physical battle. Danny Tickle worked his socks off and made some fantastic tackles and really tough carries. And And Chris Dean comes on as an edge back rower and does a lot of work and a lot of covering, and makes a fantastic play at the end off Aaron to score the try that gets us level. I thought we were a good value for the draw. I think at one stage, like I say, I thought we were a better team in the second half.
What does coming from behind against it? I think they were the favourites going into that for the Super League and all that. Going into that game with them. Coming back in those circumstances from a deficit large, what does that do for your team's self-belief?
We don't need a lot. It's good for us. I'm not saying that something like that hasn't been building and will not help us. I say just the character, and you can build seasons on those kind of performances if you still keep strong within the group. And we know that's what we are. We've seen that against Warrington away, which was a massive effort. I know our first game here against Wigan, losing them so early, but away at Warrington, down to 12 men and winning, it was a fantastic effort as well. So we've always spoke about the character in the team. What we saw created from 12, it looked like we had more men on the field because of our movement and our shape and our attacking threat. Joe Marler's kicking game was fantastic. Aaron Jeremiah really started to find his feet after 2 or 3 weeks in pre-season games. So yeah, we've got lots of ability and attacking threat throughout our team as well, and we've got plenty of character. I don't think it's something that's just emerged. I think it's something that's there. What we have got is a massive degree of honesty in our team. We don't take shortcuts. We don't cheat. We don't get riled by what goes on around us, and we take some hits in the head and we get up and we get on with it.
So you've lost Arvan for this week. He's took the EGP, hasn't he? What are your wing options? Is Flynn?
EGP.
Early guilty plea?
There you go. I love that.
Flynn, what was up with him on? Was he just not selected?
Paddy Flynn is injured.
Right.
He hurt himself in a training incident.
Mm-hmm.
He's been. He could be another 3 or 4 weeks. So Paddy Flynn was out injured, and Lloyd White was out injured. So we've had a couple of incidents in training Lloyd was the Castleford game and he hurt his elbow, but he's in a good shape at the moment, so he's not go far off. Like I said, the split round probably helps us with the World Cup Challenge. It just gives those lads not a chance to miss 4 or 5 games, and maybe only 2 or 3 games. But Paddy's got a slight tear in his pec. So like I say, it's unfortunate really because of how well he played in the pre-season. Mm-hmm. But he did that the week before the Wigan game.
So what are your options for winger now? Because there's 2 wingers down, aren't you now? Arvan and Flynn.
Jack Owens back in the mix. Yeah, Jack Owens is fit now, and Declan Hume's still there, and it's just shuffling the team around a little bit.
Mm-hmm. You went to Leeds last year, early season, like now, and played all right, and got beat by 30 odd.
Yep.
That's the type of side Leeds are, isn't it?
Well, you look at the weekend, you see them like they concede 30, but they score 40. It was a strange game to watch on tape, mm-hmm. But they're attacking threats are everywhere. You look at the way that their team's built. They work hard for each other defensively, but they love to attack. They're an offloading side. They play with the ball. I think they've worked really hard this off-season on creating opportunities and upping their skill levels. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge going to Headingley. It's a game we've not beaten Leeds since the start of Super League. So that challenge is always in our mind. But again, we're trying to look after ourselves at the moment. It's too hard to look further down the track. We know that we got over the emotion and the high of the Wigan game, the build up to it, knowing what it was. It's the start of Super League. It was a massive drain, but then we've got to regroup, get ourselves together, take the amount of work we did in that game when we had 12 men on the field. Take the fact that we're going to lose Pat Arvan for this week because of EGP in it, and we just keep moving forward. Again, we're excited by the prospect of going there and being a big crowd, being a decent night, and putting in another good solid performance.
You've got plenty of points, I don't care, haven't they, Leeds? But you conceded 30, so you should have...
We know Leeds' strengths and weaknesses. We know that what they can do and where they conceded points. But Ryan will be looking at their tape and strengthening up their areas where they conceded points. So, like every coach this week is looking at strengthening their team from the areas that they felt they were deficient at in the weekend and going after where they were positive. So Leeds will understand where they need to get better, having watched their own tape. I think we've got to go there with full confidence, full of belief in the fact that we can actually get a result in a tough environment.
Just make a general question rather than witness one day. So the games I watched over the weekend and one or two I listened to were very aggressive and there was a lot of niggle in them. I think that's to some degree an extension of there's a lot to play for this year.
Yeah, well, I think that's anxiety does that to you. It gives you that little bit of, it puts you in that kind of place where emotionally you probably do things that you wouldn't want to do normally. I think what you'll see over the period of the season is that'll drop away a little bit. The first game of the year is always the same. There's a little bit of frustration having to work so hard for the pre-season, and there's nothing like, even with pre-season games and running out and playing against each other on a training field, there's nothing like playing a game for the first time in front of a crowd with the TV cameras there and being under real scrutiny. So that's the kind of thing that can happen in the first round. But yeah, I think the whole hype around the game at the moment as well is leading to the fact that it's just a little bit more tension in everything you're doing. The teams that handle that best will be the teams that will probably step forward best.